Hello, welcome back. This is episode 2, and I've come up with a name of The Audacity, thinking that we might discuss people who have committed the stupidest of crimes, as in they thought they could get away with it and they really can't. Well, last week I mentioned a woman called Kouri Richins, who murdered, allegedly, her husband by poisoning him with fentanyl. Well, that has escalated rather quickly. So, sit back, get yourself a drink, because we are going to go through what has happened. On the 4th of March 2022, Eric Richins unfortunately died, and on the 8th of May 2023, so almost a year later, Kouri Richins was arrested for his murder. I did find the warrant for her arrest, so we will go through that momentarily, but I thought I would let you know what the recent updates have been. So this is a whole thing. Kouri Richins allegedly took out a $2 million life insurance policy on her husband before the alleged murder. She purchased the policies without her husband knowing between 2015 and 2017, according to the charging documents. Prosecutors also said Richins took out a $250,000 home equity line of credit and spent it, stole about $134,000 from her husband's business, withdrew $100,000 from his bank accounts, and spent more than $30,000 with his credit cards. This is according to the New York Post. Eric Richins learned about his wife's secret financial decisions in September 2020 and met with a divorce lawyer and estate planner the following month in October, according to the documents. They had discussed it and she promised to pay him back. Before his death, Eric had recently cut his wife out of his will and changed his life insurance policy as he sought a divorce. But she allegedly tried to name herself the beneficiary of that policy, but was then caught, and Eric reversed the move, adding his sister back onto the plan. His sister told investigators that Richins had previously tried to poison their brother, including on a trip to Greece. He had reportedly warned his family that if anything happened to him, she was to blame, according to court records. The murdered husband also had reason to believe that Richins was carrying out an affair throughout their marriage, according to family representatives. So far we've got money and we've got sex. Kouri Richins allegedly poisoned him a final time on the night of March the 3rd, and police were called early hours 3 a.m. March the 4th and found Eric's body on the floor at the foot of his bed, and they pronounced him dead at the scene. Richins reportedly told the police that she and her husband had been celebrating plans to purchase a $2 million home. She made him a cocktail, and allegedly that is where the drugs were. Police later learned that she had placed 2 $900 orders for fentanyl pills in the weeks and months before her husband's death from a drug dealer who is now acting as an informant on the case. The dealer said that Richins purchased the hydrocodone shortly before Valentine's Day, when prosecutors say she laced drugs into Eric's sandwich. After he survived, his wife asked for stronger drugs, specifically some of the Michael Jackson stuff, the dealer told investigators. And according to some reports, Kouri held a house party the day after her husband died. Richins has been charged with first-degree aggravated murder and multiple counts of second-degree possession of controlled substance with intent to distribute. Due to recent revelations, the hearing has been rescheduled for June the 12th this year, and the investigation itself took a year before it actually got to this point. Kouri Richins' attorney has declined to comment about the charges. Kouri has fought with members of her deceased husband's family since the day after his death, arguing that she should get everything, but a prenup agreement she and her husband signed entitled her to his assets if he died before they divorced, which is convenient. Utah law prohibits those convicted of homicide from profiting from their crime. So if she is convicted, she won't get any of the money. It'll be interesting to know what will happen to the money she made from selling the children's book about grief, which she wrote after her husband's death. And it was called Are You With Me? And it was about a father who had passed away and looked down on his sons as an angel. According to an advocate working with Eric's relatives, they said that the 3 children are staying with a relative whilst their mother awaits trial. Eric's sister is the trustee to his estate, and she has filed for guardianship over the children. Which we must remember, these kids have lost their dad and they may be about to lose their mother. The amount of fentanyl that was in the drink that allegedly killed Eric was 5 times more than the lethal dose. So I've got Kouri Richins' warrant here, and the prosecutor states on information and belief that the defendant either directly or as a party committed the crimes of criminal homicide, aggravated murder, that on or about March the 3rd, 2022, in the state of Utah, the defendant did intentionally or knowingly cause the death of another individual under any of the following circumstances. And then it goes on to list them. The actor committed homicide by means of the administration of a poison or of any lethal substance, or of any substance administered in a lethal amount, dosage, or quantity. Furthermore, the defendant was a cohabitant with the victim. And then there are 3 charges of possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute. In January 2022, the defendant knowingly and intentionally possessed with intent to distribute a controlled or counterfeit substance. And then, so that was January 2022. And then February the 11th, 2022, the defendant did knowingly and intentionally possess with intent to distribute a controlled or counterfeit substance. And then February 26th, so a couple of weeks later, the defendant again possessed a controlled or counterfeit substance with the intent to distribute. The information is supported by a statement of probable cause. So on March the 4th, 2022, at 3:22 a.m, the sheriff and emergency staff responded to a residence located in Summit County on the report of an unresponsive male. When they arrived, they found Eric on the floor at the foot of his bed. Life-saving measures were attempted, but Eric was declared deceased. During interviews with the deceased wife, the defendant, Kouri Richins, stated that around 9 p.m. on March the 3rd, she and Eric were celebrating the defendant's closing on a house for her business. Defendant stated that she made Eric a Moscow Mule in the kitchen and brought it to their bedroom, where Eric consumed it while sitting in bed. The only people in the house were the defendant, Eric, and their children. The defendant then stated she went to bed and shortly after went to sleep with one of the children in the child's bedroom. Defendant said she awoke around 3 a.m. and came back to her and Eric's bedroom. She felt Eric and he was cold, and that's when she called 911. Defendant told law enforcement that when she left her room to go to the child's room, she left her phone plugged in next to her bed. She didn't take it into the child's room with her. However, between when the defendant said she went into the child's room and when she called 911, the status on her phone shows that it was locked and unlocked multiple times, and there was also movement recorded on the phone. In addition, tolls on the defendant's phone showed that messages were sent and received during that time. The messages were deleted. Could Eric have got the phone to try and phone for the emergency services? Yes. But if Eric had that phone, would he be sending messages, receiving messages, and deleting messages, it's unlikely, in my opinion. Following an autopsy and pursuant to toxicology findings from the autopsy, it was determined that Eric died from an overdose of fentanyl. The medical examiner indicated the level of fentanyl in Eric's system was approximately 5 times the lethal dosage. The medical examiner stated the fentanyl in Eric's system was illicit fentanyl and not medical grade fentanyl. It is also the opinion of the medical examiner, after evaluating Eric's stomach contents, that the fentanyl in Eric's body was ingested orally. After receiving the information regarding the toxicology, a search warrant was obtained for Eric and the defendant's residence. During the service of that search warrant, defendant's phone and several computers were seized as evidence. Warrants were obtained for all the electronic devices, and the information from those devices was downloaded. When investigators downloaded the defendant's phone, several communications between defendant and drug supplier were located. By the way, when you delete stuff from your phone, it is not gone forever. The police have geeks that will find this stuff. Any nerd worth their salt can find your deleted files. Just a tip. So the drug person was identified as an acquaintance of the friend. A police records check of said drug person revealed multiple counts of possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute, possession of a drug-controlled substance, words, and possession of drug paraphernalia. On May 2nd, 2023, Summit County detectives interviewed drug person. Drug person told detectives that sometime between December 21 and February 22, the defendant contacted them via text message and asked if they could get the defendant some prescription pain meds for an investor who had a back injury. Sure. Within a few days, drug person procured hydrocodone pills from a dealer. The defendant told drug person to leave the pills at a house the defendant was flipping in Midway. Drug person left the pills at the house, and the defendant left cash for drug person. It has been determined it was owned by the defendant in December 21 and January 22. 2 weeks later, the defendant contacted drug person again and said that her investor wanted something stronger and asked for some of the Michael Jackson stuff. The defendant asked specifically for fentanyl. Drug person contacted a dealer on February the 11th, 2022 and procured 15 to 30 fentanyl pills. The defendant came to drug person's house and drug person delivered the pills to the defendant. Drug person received $900 for those pills. So allegedly she tried to poison her husband, didn't work, so she's gone back to the drug person and asked for something stronger. Allegedly, according to the drug person. 3 days later, on February 14th, 2022, Eric and the defendant had a Valentine's Day dinner at home. Shortly after, Eric became very ill. He believed that he had been poisoned. Eric told a friend that he thought his wife was trying to poison him. 2 weeks after that, the defendant contacted the drug person again, asking for another $900 of fentanyl. Drug person contacted their dealer again on February 26, 2022 and got the pills. The defendant told the drug person to leave the pills at the outdoor fire pit of the Midway house where there was cash waiting for them. 6 days later, on March the 4th, 2022, Eric was found dead of a fentanyl overdose. The information is based on evidence obtained from the deputy. So, yeah, that's not great, is it? That's all we've got on the Kouri Richins case at the moment. All of this is alleged. She has been charged with criminal homicide, aggravated murder, and 3 counts of possession of a controlled substance with the intent to distribute. Just the idea that she tried to delete her text messages that look good. As I said, the police can find them. There's no way around that. So we've got poisoning, we've got money, we've got sex, and also Eric was a member of the Church of Latter-day Saints, also known as the Mormon Church. This is ringing some bells, like Lorry Vallow bells. Not good. Eric descended from a large family, well known locally, with members active in local politics and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He met Kouri when she worked at a local home depot, where he often shopped, according to a former colleague who told this to KUTV. There has been an obituary for Eric. He was a family man who always strove to be the absolute best father and husband. He was an attentive and loving father to his 3 sons and a devoted husband to the love of his life and wife of 9 years, Kouri Richins. Oh, gosh. Eric loved to have fun and was always the life of the party. He was a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Words can't describe the loneliness and loss that is felt in every heart that was lucky enough to know him. We all need to learn from Eric's example and be sure to make the time to have fun and do what we love. Thank you, Rico, for being such an inspiration and role model for us all. We love you, Eric, with all our hearts and more. And that is the obituary, which I found on tributearchive.com. I will put all the links I've used in the show notes below. So, yeah. That escalated very quickly. So right now, Kouri Richins has been charged with the murder of Eric Richins, her husband, who allegedly, maybe, perhaps, was about to divorce her because allegedly, maybe, perhaps, she was having an affair and stealing his money. Allegedly, maybe, perhaps. But right now, if we just take a moment to remember Eric Richins, who died on the 4th of March 2022, the loved father, family man. So that's the main story that I was going to do today. I did come across a couple of others, just a quick one. If you're not in the UK, you won't care about this, but if you are living in the UK, Nigel Farage, you'll love him, tweeted on the 27th of March 2017 that if Brexit is a disaster, I will go and live abroad. I'll go and live somewhere else. He tweeted it. He said it on his radio show. Nigel, we're just waiting. We'll buy the ticket. We'll all put together and buy you a ticket. Just an idea. And again, UK based, water companies have been pumping sewage into our waterways, our rivers, seas. So the water companies have kindly said that they will upgrade the sewer system because it hasn't really had a really big upgrade since the Victorian era. But we're going to have to pay for that. Our bills are going to go up to pay for that after they have pumped sewage into our waterways. If you go and look at some rivers and lakes and stuff around the UK now, you can see the slime. Oof. So yeah, thanks for that, water companies across the UK. Just what we needed, higher bills to pay for you to fix your screw up, in my opinion. I think that is all I wanted to cover for today. Yes, so today is the 19th of May 2023. I will keep you updated on the Eric Richins case. Unless something else comes out, it's not going to be till, June, July, when the hearing will be. So that's going to be a while. So Lorry Vallow Daybell is facing new charges in Arizona, and there's an indictment seeking to charge her with conspiracy related to the attempted shooting of Brandon Boudreaux. At the moment, she's in Idaho, and she was convicted of the death of her own 2 children, as well as her current husband's now deceased wife, and now she's about to face charges of conspiracy. It's probably going to be something coming out in regards to the Lorry Vallow case, I may cover that because that has just been a whole thing. I think that's it for this week. I've already rambled on for quite a while. But yeah, thank you for tuning in to listen to the absolute audacity of people. Kouri Richins allegedly poisoned her husband, allegedly, called the police, deleted stuff from her phone that she then gave to police, and then had the brass balls to release a children's book on grieving following the death of her husband. Ugh. So yeah, thank you for tuning in. I have rambled on long enough. If you have enjoyed my talkings, please like, comment, share, etc. It really helps, especially seeing as I've just started doing this. I also write a blog about all sorts of stuff, history, feminism, current affairs. And there's also a houseplant blog I do where I do houseplant of the month from my own collection, and I offer advice on different plants, also the history of plants. I think I've got one coming up today, the history of the aglaonema, which is my favourite plant. Sidetrack, all my links are below, all the links I've used for today are below, and I never know how to exit these things, so yeah, thanks, bye, and I'll see you in the next one.